Let me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Good morning to you. Those of you viewing GBN TV, whatever the channels you have chosen to view us via, good morning to you. Thanks for taking the opportunity to do that. It's to the point. It's Thursday, the 29th day of January, 2026. Good morning to those of you also via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning. Those of you also listening and viewing via GBN's webpage, gbn.gd. Good morning and welcome. We have, of course, representing this morning, we have, of course, Superintendent Desmond Richards with us this morning. And, of course, our conversation this morning, of course, is we basically be talking community policing. Let's say good morning to, of course, Superintendent Richards. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome.
Good morning to you, boss, and good morning to the listening public. And pleasant good morning to all.
You know, they say it's never too late to say it, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
They say it's never too late to say it, if you have seen a person for the first time for the year, it's a Happy New Year to them. And assuming all is well.
Yes, thank God, all is well.
All right, great. Our conversation this morning was definitely centered around community policing. I remember the last time we had a conversation in relation to community policing. I did have other members of the community relations department popping in sometime during the course of 2025 and speaking about other, of course, part of the whole makeup of what the RGPF, especially the community relations department, is doing in terms of community policing.
Yes.
And but so we're here to talk about this morning that of course, policing agenda, community policing agenda. We're going to focus a whole lot on that. To get the ball rolling off, 2025 was more or less a very interesting year in terms of community policing. And so you had lots on the agenda, lots of events we saw from time to time via your social media platforms. It was indicated where the different communities that you visited and so forth, the feedback you were getting from the various communities, which helped the police a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
And also helps the community
as well.
Help the community as well.
Yes.
Talk to me in relation. How was those, of course, when that actually happened? How was that? There's always engagement.
Of course, there is no perfect system, and sometimes you set out to do things, and along the way things happen. Mm-hmm. But in most part, we were able to achieve most of what we were set out to do.
Okay.
The town hall meeting, the community engagements, engagements with the schools and youth in particular that we will stress on even more this year. And that worked well. In fact, we believe we had a very, very successful year. In fact, one of the most successful year we have ever had in 2025. And we gauge that by our data. While it is, I don't think it is close to be collated, but I'm certain ACP Cohen would let the whole public know soon that we have gone past even our 74% even solving rate.
Okay.
And I want to really, at this point, congratulate and say thanks to the public, because if the public doesn't partner with us, doesn't collaborate with us, doesn't share information with us, then we cannot have the kind of solve crime that the way we did. In addition to that, it is so notable, and this is not just for the police, it's for the public as well. It is so notable that even partners in the region has asked us, what are we doing? Yeah. And we have been sharing information with them, and they have taken on board a lot of our strategies as well to implement in their countries, so that they too can have this sort of a reduction in crime that they have seen in their country, and jealous us for the limited we had and how we are able to solve. In fact, I believe we are the only country in the region that has even double in terms of the other countries, maybe 30-something, 40-something% in terms of the solving rate. We should be, when the data comes out, should be about 80 or more for 2025, which is the first in the history of the police force. Very impressive, And again, I want to say kudos to the public, because I believe they are now buying into the message that we've been selling. And I also must say, even before the program end, kudos to your media house and all the media houses for helping us sell what I call the false gospel.
Okay.
And people are now buying and catching it and realizing that they themselves need to take responsibility for their own security and safety, so that it makes it harder for crime to be committed and easier for the police in their engagements.
And I agree with you that, engagements like this that we have on a Thursday, when you, of course, various departments do pop in, do help a whole lot in terms of spreading the word of what the police and speak your agenda. Now, I want to ask you another question. The feedback can be received a whole lot, especially going through the communities and having those engagements with the, various various citizens within this community. How has that feedback been? And how have you been using that feedback to better the relationship with the police and the community?
Right, great question. And this is one of the key elements, feedback. Because without feedback, you don't know if you're up, if you're down, where you are.
So true.
So the feedback has been incredible, and both good and when the negative comes. And I said, one time we had a lot of criticisms. Now I believe we are more positive. We are critic more positively, and so when those feedback came, when these feedback comes, we look at it, we analyze it. If officers are named, they are called. They are, engage on the matter and assist into how they approach. They do it better the next time, because at the end of the day, the entire public, we serve the entire public. We are the servants, and if they are not satisfied, then no matter how hard we think we work, it means that we are not doing something right. And to get things right, we expect the public to critique us when they see something happening. Let us know that, as I say, we can address, and we have been doing that. And in fact, the commissioner, Mr. Carnot, and the executive, and all of us, in fact, has taken on board that so seriously, because we are seeing the impact. We are seeing how Grenada is becoming even more safe, and as I say, the safety gem in the Caribbean, notwithstanding what the US tried to say the last time. Thank God, the message is there, the fact speaks for itself. Yes. So people are seeing, and so the feedback has been tremendous, and we have been using it to the advantage and to build capacity within the force and within our officers, especially where they are mostly young officers now than we had in the past.
Great. I was happy to hear that, because as you said, feedback is important.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it helps you to,
in both ways,
to build your capacity.
In both ways, the public giving us feedback as to what our actions, what we're doing, our approaches, and also we giving them feedback. And feedback will come whether you call them and say something, or when they see you implement some of the recommendations they would have made, and that too, and that builds even trust even more, and build confidence in the public that allows more to share information. And that was a problem in the past, confidence, the trust issue. We are seeing that to a large extent is kind of dissipating, and more people are sharing, and there's more camaraderie, more partnership being built in that aspect.
And that's great, because once the community and the police have that relationship, it has certainly helped a whole lot, as you mentioned, in terms of the crime rate, getting it down to the level that it's at right now. Because the community not sharing information with the police
we're in trouble.
makes the police work even harder.
Then the nation in trouble.
Because if John was here and he noticed Paul doing something and he didn't tell the police, Paul would be walking around free, committing more of the crime that.
But not only that, it empowers criminals.
Exactly.
Because they realize nobody takes them, nothing is happening. So it empowers them even to do more, and he encourages others to join, because there's, and as I said in one of the programs yesterday, that, and I'm happy about that, because once the public understands that they have a shared responsibility in keeping the nation safe, then they will want to do something about it.
Exactly.
No crime can be safe if a community can exist, if a community decide we don't want this thing here. If one man in the community or two persons in the community say, well, they could always be fought against by the criminals. But when a community come together and say, no, we would not have violence, we would not have this, then crime shifts. But if every community decides, no, not here, where do crime goes?
It's so true. And they always say that results are better in numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Better in numbers.
And
so
it builds the preventative mechanism as well, rather than the solving. We are happy to be having a number of solving it, but we want to move to the state where it is institutionalized so much within the communities that we know in a preventative move more than a solving move.
Exactly. You create that quick reactive move that folks are in the solve. So
and it's not stitching, it's just keeping your community safe.
Let's get into the meat of our conversation this morning. We're talking community policing. Folks may want to have a definition of what it really means. Right. Folks may think in a general term it's only the police coming and walking through the community, but what is really community policing?
Right. So it's a philosophy, a system that promotes proactive policing. Yes. And it involves all communities, the nation. As I said yesterday as well, I like the thought where you say tourism is everybody's business. But community policing is more of everybody's business than tourism, because if safety is not there,
police always.
And if there is the safety of the community is not there, then where do tourism come?
Exactly.
So this is critical, and so it's involved the community for reducing crime, reducing the fear of crime, and also for assisting in addressing community problems. And that's a big one, because that's where the proactive aspect comes in. If I can profile the community and I can identify potential problems and put systems in place to mitigate it, then we would not have the problem happening. And if we don't have the problem happening, then people can feel safer, they can feel better. And so that partnership that is built, that collaboration that is built, is critical in causing Grenada, and I'm stressing that, to remain a gem, a beacon, a light to other nations within the region.
And well, I like when you say that, because if you, of course, know there's an issue within a community and you have a fair idea of those issues within the community. Let's say, for instance, someone is always speeding within the community.
That's it.
And you decide, well, we know that is happening, let's have traffic officers in that particular vicinity on a regular. It will, of course, minimize it happening. You understand? We understand the police can be there all the time. But, of course, at the time that they be there, it will indicate to that individual who may be committing those crimes to say, hey, because of the police been there, I've been ticketed once, twice, 3 times, maybe I should see some doing that.
That's one of the things we're looking at, actually increasing our billing out more on in 2026, more of our presence on the ground, not just during the community walkthrough, but even in the patrols. And, of course, we had a problem with numbers at one time. We have a slight increase now because we have trained some individuals, and the attrition rate is not as heavy as it was 2 or 3 years ago, and so we are attempting to ensure that those things happen, not just in the town, but even in the rural communities and the back roads. There are some people that are living in some places that it seems as though they're forgotten. We want to let them know they are not forgotten. The police knows where the locations are, and we'll be there to chat with them and to see what's the issue and how we can help. And again, let me just say, that's why when we talk partnership, we're talking about all stakeholders. And when I say that, sometimes we look at stakeholders as just, Ministry of Social Development, CPA, probation, education. But when we talk partnership, we're talking about even the guys on the block. And they're the ones that knows a lot of things too.
Exactly.
As I said yesterday, they are the human drones. We put up a drone once for 2 hours, but 24/7 people are moving up and down. They are seeing, they are hearing.
The information that
is it. And that's why we can't leave out nobody. Schools, churches, just so all these. So we want to build out on those in 2006, even strengthen that and add to what was missing before in the institutions that were not involved. We want to get them involved so that every single person would have a part to play in driving the safety and security of our country.
Talk to me about the core components of community policing.
Right. So let's talk benefits first, and then So we're looking at reducing crime, strong communities. And it has to be part of the components as well. Better intelligence gathering and more effective problem solving. As I say, everybody knows. So what we're doing is not just having like the town meeting, the walkthroughs. We talked about it last year. We didn't get as much as we wanted, but this year we want to push it some more to advance the conversation, so that meaning that not just the police now going on the walkthrough, not just the police having a panel, you're having various expertise there. So whether social level, psychologists, counselors, because the dynamics of the communities are a lot of issues.
There could be leaders within various communities also.
That's it. And not only that, of course, because we're looking at and not just leaders, there are persons in every community, older persons that are very respected.
Yes.
They have to be involved. Politicians, the persons who are the constituency leader, have to come in because the people voted for you. And you have to be part of community policing to hear the problems that we're having and how we can collaborate.
That's an interesting
from
part of it,
that aspect as well to bring a solution to the community.
Sometimes we have the people within the communities gravitate to these individuals.
That is it.
So imagine them going along with the police and having these conversations will certainly help a lot. But be a form of encouraging individuals to come out. You understand? And so in that, with the whole components of that, we have a number of areas like the citizen advisory body, neighborhood watch, farm watch. We have school liaison officer, area official, crime management
team, and all these the police school club. We used to say boys club, but now we include, there's only the young men. Now we include the young ladies, because we don't want to leave anybody out. So all of that, and we are involved so that we can reach, and the citizen advisory body, and that's why it's called that way. They are like while they work with us to help solve problem, identify problem and solve problem, but they also work as a means of looking at the actions of the police, and helping correct it. So even the community, somebody may not want to come to the station, but the police may behave in a particular way that is not proper, not professional, and so they go talk to one of the person of the city body, but they will let us know in the meetings, and then we address those things. So we are doing everything, and then where the core agenda of the commissioner is to this year is to build capacity, but also to build the community policing arm. These things are necessary, so we know what to address with our officers to make them better, make them more professional. The customer service is a big thing. We have involved in training school now, and with the soft skills as well. Because gone are the days when we had, the big bad police, and and once you see a person, you start to tremble and you get afraid. And we need person now. The system has changed. We have the generation Alpha, the Generation Z combined. The kind of baby boomers have to fight up with them between the. So not only to order to do this well, we have to understand even the generations, the culture, the thinking, and then change our methodology as well to address these problems. And that's why we are emphasizing all this and pushing in that regard, so that we can serve the nation in the best way possible.
Yeah, because sometimes communities see individuals as their peers, or individuals who may be committing crime may see individuals as their peers. Well, I don't, because of the level of conversation they may say, well, I don't need to have a respect for this particular sergeant or this particular corporal because of the mere fact that maybe he's from the same community at times.
That's it. But as I always say, one of the things we have to take on board is that every police is also a civilian. We come from a civilian pyramid. And while not criticizing, but it's important that we share what we see, and because sometimes the police need help. In fact, one of the things we are looking at very, very we thought we had started it already. We had a place in the stadium, but with the repairs, we had to stand down. This year we are pushing hard, even to have a psychosocial unit within the police force. Because we are building out and officers with their mental health. You see, if we're going to address community problems, but the police themselves are struggling with mentally, not being crazy, but mental health issues, which all of us, that is it. You see, because sometimes the reaction by police is not that he wants to, but what is happening with him at the time, what he's going through at the time, may just cause an outburst based on the situation that he ends up in. He may not even want to speak to you the way he wants to speak to you, but he may leave home that day and he's just so stressed out, but he has to go to work. So we are looking at that very seriously. And then not just that, the trauma of what you have to do on a daily basis, whether it's a murder case, whether it's you're going to see somebody dead somewhere, and they might have maggots on them already, or your sleepless nights, or they be running to solve crime. All the same impact on your families. They impact you in a particular way. If not properly addressed, then we can also, because you don't want to miss an area, heal everything else, and one part of you still go affect the other areas at one time. So we look at the other areas to break down on a holistic basis to address the issues. And as I said before, we have young officers. When we were growing up, maybe we had a little more coping mechanism. We don't have much of that these days. So we have to build that out in officers, because we want to ensure that at the end of the day, we can have the best officers, and it can be talked about, it can be seen, it can be noticeable, and people feel a sense of freedom and comfort in working with you and playing with you and having fun with you, because all that we bring out, having games with the communities, whether it's cricket, football, all those things, has to build that camaraderie, to make people feel that I don't need to fear the police, I need to respect them, and the police need to respect you. But if you're going to have this going well and have a country safe, all of us have to be a part.
The importance of that community partnership with the department, the various departments, the importance of that, sir.
It goes without saying, it can't be underestimated. That, because without, as I said before, without partnership, as Robert Peel said, the father of modern policing says, the police is the public and the public is the police. And I've often said, when I address communities and crowds, gatherings, that you are the real police. We are maybe the custodian of the law, we are police officers. We can execute the law because we are trained to know how to execute the law. But real policing is done by the everyday man in the street. I remember in Gov, after they realized that most of the incidents that you have during the festive time were people coming from the outside. There were guys that were policing their own community. Yeah. There are many times they held guys that were giving problems and brought them to the station, or even tied them up and click the weapon and call us. And that's serious policing. Yes. You see? And so the partnership cannot be underestimated, because without partnership there will be no shared information. If there's no shared information, then our intelligence drops. If it drops, then how do you solve crime?
And it helps to build that trust.
That's exactly. And
that trust.
As I said earlier on too, because when you have this information sharing as well, I remember one time I went to Westall Point and speak with the residents, and you know, after speaking with them, they were amazed. They said they never realized certain things. I was showing them how crime operates, how the criminals think. But how we like flowers, so we plant a tree there, we put a camera there, and we think it's nice. But it could also be a detriment to them, but an advantage to the criminals. Yes. And I was showing and a lot of changes took place with how they did things then. And as a result, I remembered crime and the stealing that was in Westall jumped significantly, because the persons with that partnership now, and we were able to share, they were able to adjust how the locks they put on the doors, where they plant the flowers, where they set the cameras, all these things, and it makes it more difficult, because remember, crime is a triangle. For sure. And the only part of that triangle, the ability, the opportunity, and those things, and the desire, the only thing we can take away is the opportunity. They may have the desire. Yeah. They may have the ability, but if they don't have the opportunity, then the crime can be committed. So true. So
as you mentioned, because sometimes I may like a particular plant and it blooms so much, but it's now become a benefit for that individual.
And not that necessarily you can like the plant, but it's where you put that plant,
you place it,
large it
becomes a benefit for the criminal. You understand? Because now it allows them to be able to hide within or hide themselves, and you may have never noticed them there because of that.
And also what partnership does as well, and I used to tell my students, when you go to town or police officers, do not go with the concept that all the bossmen bad, all the rasta, no. They're the ones that know everything. Treat them as human beings, but listen to them. Yeah. Even if you have to take action, you still take action, but you take it in a way but you listen, because the amount of information they will give to you will help you to assess the ground better, assess the mood of the place better, and now be able to coin your approach to match or to suit that in a way that is professional, is ethical, but at the same time can bring the desired result for everybody.
And your approach makes a difference, because they may be unaware that they are spilling so much information to you.
So don't think the person that don't have information don't have, they have.
Superintendent Richard, we do for a break. Let's take it. We come back and continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch it now.
Guys, have you heard about the oil competition that's happening on the Post Air Strip? Yes, and we, the Times City students, will be there. It is hosted by the Grenada Broadcasting Network and their sponsors at 10 a.m. on the Post Air Strip. Don't hear it. Come out in the numbers and be there. Compete with us.
GBN's Oil Long Fest is proudly sponsored by Glen Spring Water, Grenville Credit Union, the Marketing and National Importing Board, Echo Blue Limited, Rush Distributors, Grenada Cooperative Bank, Grenada Paper Products, Hubbard's, Superb Distributors, and Grenada Motor Club.
Do you own an antique, a classic, a custom-built car or motorcycle, or a fully loaded modern car or truck? Come, show off your ride. Register now to be part of Grenada Auto Fest, and you can win part of the grand prize of over $50,000 in cash and prizes. Register online via our social media pages or at www.grenadaautofest.com. Early bird registration has been extended to 31st January 2026, Saturday, March 14th, at the Royal St. John's Playing Field. We recognize our partner, Legacy Rent Rentals and Son Company, True Blue Bay Boutique Resort, On the Spot Hardware, and all the companies that sponsored our category prizes. Remember, over $50,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Grenada Auto Fest, Saturday, March 14, Tantin.
Are you ready to win?
Ladies and gentlemen, there's no better way
to show our appreciation for your support
than with a massive money bingo. Sunday, February 1st, from 5 p.m. at the National Cricket Stadium. Megaforce Promotions proudly presents the massive appreciation bingo. And you can win up to $70,000 in cash. Here's the best part. Tickets are $50 for one, and you get one free. Plus, the first 1,000 people through the gate will receive a free drink. This is more than bingo. It's our way of saying thank you for your support. Remember, come for the excitement, stay for the appreciation, and let's make this night electrifying together. Sunday, February 1st, Megaforce Appreciation Bingo, National Cricket Stadium from 5 p.m.
Brought to you by Megaforce Promotions, taking entertainment to another level.
Hi, I'm Rose.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Once again, it's To The Point for today, Thursday, the 29th day of January 2026. And we have, of course, Superintendent Desmond Richard with us this morning. And we're talking community policing. Superintendent, welcome back. Welcome back once again.
Thank you so much.
I want to move to, I know there's lots of projects that are planned out for 2026. Yeah. I want you to speak to me in relation to some of these projects and how soon we're going to see them being implemented or kicked off, or how we want to say it in that particular way. There are probably individuals who are listening to us right now and saying, I want to really be part of those projects that the police is planning, especially for engagement within the various communities and so forth.
I'm hoping that is true, because we want people to be involved.
Well, it has to be true, because there are individuals who will be happy to have those engagements, despite the circumstances.
So we have a number of areas that we are looking at. And one is in terms of the continued community engagement and strengthening that and building even greater trust, even within the areas we may not have had that opportunity or that garnered that leverage before. So it's about building on a lot of what has been there before as well. But also we're looking at, in the past we would address the problem but never look at the causation. So this year we are pushing ourselves to find the cause. So a little boy is smoking, not going to school. Why?
Yeah.
Because we realize if you don't know the cause, then you cannot adequately address the problem, and you don't know who are the experts to involve to deal with that problem.
Okay.
So that is something we want to strengthen in 2026. Looking at causations. Why? It's one thing to do the symptom and the root is still there. The leaf might dry, but the root is still sucking the water and the nutrients. It'll grow back again. So that is where we try. And part of that is also working more with parents as well.
Okay.
When we're going to deal with the youth, because we recognize that there are persons that, when you speak to those youth at time, they are willing to change. They are willing to make an adjustment. But if they're going back into the place that is,
or the environment, that is toxic.
So there's a battle between them.
Yeah.
I want to do what the police say, I want to do what social say, what are the expertise I say. But every time I go back and I get in this kind of treatment that is happening, how do I as a young person growing up, so we want to really work with parents as well to ensure that when we're dealing with a child, we deal with the parents, so we deal with the problem in a holistic way. Yeah, we are also, I want to encourage you, because there are some parents that could be resistant.
Yeah.
I know sometimes they too are going through their own healing process or non-healing process from things when they growing up and never get addressed, and so there's a lot of issues that happen in that, and that's why again the police can't do everything. We identify, but we have to work with the stakeholders that have the expertise.
As I mentioned before, that partnership is important.
Of course, we want to strengthen as well our youth engagement, so much so that social intervention, so much so that we really want to work with the youth to help them to understand who they are, what God has created them to be, and to be able to strengthen them in the resolve or in the decision-making ability, because there are some predators out there that is coaching the drug barons that are pushing some of them, and everybody wants to have a gadget and a good phone, and they're using those things to their advantage to some of these young people, even the schools, selling the drugs. And so we want to help them understand the repercussion, the consequences, and when these men that are pushing them are no more, or their life still, their consequence they will have to pay. So we want to work really, really, we have started with the schools, but we want to strengthen that as well. Of course, we want to also look at now everything's about technology, and I must say that I must applaud the government, applaud our commissioner and executive, because a lot of money is spent now in technology. That's where you go in the drone unit, CID, CRO, and a lot of money has been spent to get the necessary equipment to be able to fight crime and to mitigate a lot of the challenges we have had and continue to have. And so knowing that the young people, they are into technology, we are going heavy into that area as well to be able to influence change and influence behaviors in their life. And that's just a few of what we want to do, including building on what we have already had and started before. Yeah? Okay. Of course, as I said to you earlier on, and working with our officers in terms of the mental health and other critical areas that we see need development within their lives. And I have to say, thank God, we have a lot of now partners within the education field and various expertise that we could come in and have dialogue and workshops with them, and this is something we're building out heavy in 2026, so that, as I said before, because you can't just want to work with the public and you yourself are not developed. So we're developing ourselves so we can better engage the public.
Right. I mean, because if you yourself does not have the ability to communicate with the community, that is it's only obvious that is going to have a bit of fun.
Of course. And then, an interesting thing, as you say, that we used to look at it. We're in the station, a recruit, maybe 19 years, 20 years, comes and sit at the desk doing diary. And the person 40-something, 50-something years that have been married come with a domestic problem, a marital problem.
Or that individual is able to understand.
That is it. Or we send them to deal with a problem. Yeah. And so one of the things we have done initially, without adequate training and development, we would have a senior person the report and senior person address the situation. And when it comes to a point where they don't know what to say or what to do, then the officer would have to be informed so that he can direct what happened. Now we direct them to a person that we know would be able to help. But I'm saying that because within the whole scope of what happening, so many things that are happening, we cannot do everything. But at the same time, if we understand a bit of it and who is the next line of contact, then that will help.
And that's where training comes in.
That's where training comes in.
Because, I always baffle about that myself sometimes. Sometimes I hear individuals lodge the complaints that they make and how it's been dealt with. And sometimes there's a lack of training.
A lot of training, a lot of knowledge.
Someone may just go and come from the training school.
That is it.
He may just learn the basic policing.
That is it.
But then he may not have learned the concept of dealing with the public.
Mediation and all those things,
Exactly.
But we have a chain of command and we are building out based on what the complaints are. It is your first share it with your NCO. There's always a supervisor.
Okay.
That supervisor, even if he might be a young corporal or sergeant himself, he knows there's an inspector or ASP or even the superintendent division commander that he can go to about the problem and get directives.
So go through that chain of command.
So
chain of command.
Don't try to do something that you know you don't have the expertise to do. Yeah, pass it along so that we can direct how it must be addressed and where it must be addressed and even when it must be addressed. Yeah, and so they know that, but at the same time, and I'm happy that, as I said again, that Mr. Connor, our commissioner, he's very adamant. Capacity building for 2026 is critical, and so what we're doing is looking at the areas of the efficiency and the critical areas that is needed given the society that we have now. Because you don't want to capacity building just anything. Yeah. You have to know the areas, the priority areas that needs addressed and start there. And so that is what we're doing. And it has really begun even with our engagement with the executive and senior officers of the force. We had that retreat. The Prime Minister was there. A few of the education expert persons was there speaking on various topics. We had an engagement with the ASPs, we had with the inspector just I think day before, and so we are building out that so that they understand who they are, where they are, what the roles are, but also how to deal with when things come, how it's addressed, and so it has to be going forward because you want a force that is very professional, knowledgeable, and are able to address situations as they come along.
Yeah, you don't want 80s, policing.
That is it.
Of course, in the 2026 era that we're in right now.
That is it.
Even though they may have some instances where they may mesh, but you have to be up to the times, as you would say, in local conversations.
And then we're looking at even from the mental health policy that we're now developing. We have in it certain training, necessary training, trauma training, suicide training for police officers, peer support, how you may not be accountable, but how you identify an officer may have an issue, even if you see come smiling. And even within the community themselves, there be different situations, people have different problems within the community. Exactly. So you should know how to deal with it. And how you identify it first. Yes. And how to deal with it. And I say not dealing with doesn't mean that you have to do it personally. Yeah. But who the next person that are able to deal with that. Exactly. You can say, officer, or you go to the superintendent, or whoever. And then we have officers now who are trained in those levels, so that you can say, let me call you to offer the assistance because we have that particular problem within that particular community. And we have officers now that are accountants, that are psychologists, so we are building out the knowledge base within the force as well. I remember speaking to an ACP in Jamaica, and he said to me, Richie, how we were able to sit with government and the big people and address it because we educate ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we have expertise in terms of various fields within the force that we can address things at the same level with the masters, with the bachelors. And so we are building all that. That's why we are encouraging persons, apart from what the force is doing, build yourself, study. Look at the areas that is needed, study something there so that we can not to become self-sufficient per se, but we are better able to address situation while we involve the other stakeholders and community in the whole issue. All right, we're due for a break once again. Let's take that break. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the point. Classic Radio GBN TV. Don't touch it down.
Sir.
Hey everyone, it's Miss Rose from the Rose Garden, and I just wanted to let you guys know of the GBN All Down Fest happening on the 31st of January at Pearls in St. Andrews. I was there last year and it was a great experience. There was different kinds of all down. There was wild meat, there was chicken, there was salted meat, and all other kind of all down, and the cooks was very good. So there's also wine tasting and other things happening at the event. So come out and support the GBN All Down Fest on January 31st at Pearls in St. Andrews. It starts at 10 a.m. in the morning and goes on until, and I could let you guys know it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
GBN's Oil Long Fest is proudly sponsored by Glen Spring Water, Grenville Credit Union, the Marketing and National Importing Board, Echo Blue Limited, Rush Distributors, Grenada Cooperative Bank, Grenada Paper Products, Hubbard's, Superb Distributors, and Grenada Motor Club.
Do you own an antique, a classic, a custom-built car or motorcycle, or a fully loaded modern car or truck? Come, show off your ride. Register now to be part of Grenada Auto Fest, and you can win part of the grand prize of over $50,000 in cash and prizes. Register online via our social media pages or at www.grenadaautofest.com. Early bird registration has been extended to 31st January 2026, Saturday, March 14th, at the Royal St. John's Playing Field. We recognize our partner, Wagity Rentals and Son Company, Chublu Bay Boutique Resort, On the Spot Hardware, and all the companies that sponsored our category prizes. Remember, over $50,000 in cash and prizes to be won. Grenada Auto Fest, Saturday, March 14th, Tantin.
Are you ready to win?
Ladies and gentlemen, there's no better way
To show our appreciation for your support.
than with a massive money bingo. Sunday, February 1st, from 5 p.m. at the National Cricket Stadium. Megaforce Promotions proudly presents the massive appreciation bingo. And you can win up to $70,000 in cash. Here's the best part. Tickets are $50 for one, and you get one free. Plus, the first 1,000 people through the gate will receive a free drink. This is more than bingo. It's our way of saying thank you for your support. Remember, come for the excitement, stay for the appreciation, and let's make this night electrifying together. Sunday, February 1st, Megaforce Appreciation Bingo, National Cricket Stadium from 5 p.m.
Brought to you by Megaforce Promotions. Taking entertainment to another level.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers once again. It's to the point, of course, we have Superintendent Richard with us this morning. We're talking, of course, community policing this morning. And, of course, we're talking about, the agenda of course, of the Community Relations Department, who's also incorporated in this to assist the communities in, of course, making sure that all is well. My next question goes along this line. How can the community assist? How can the community assist the police a whole lot in aiding, of course, and making sure that issues within the communities are dealt with in a right way?
Yeah, so great. But there's a number of bodies that we have that persons can get involved in. As I said, we are the Citizens Advisory Body. Yeah. So if you want to be a part of that, just go to the station closest to you, police station closest to you, speak with the NCO, speak with the officers, they will give you information as to how you get involved. We have Neighborhood Watch, and everybody we have to look out for people. We have to bring back the community spirit of I'm home, my neighbor is not home, and I'm casting an eye and he's a whole building. Yeah, so we have the Neighborhood Watch that we can also get involved in. We have the crime management team. That team, we sit once a month about with the officer in charge of the station or division, and we look at the crime trends that is happening. And because remember, we might be trained in law enforcement, but it might be amazing. You might be amazed to know the idea that comes from a civilian, a man on the ground, somebody. So we sit and look at it take recommendations or what we can do, find solutions to the problem. Yeah, and that is the thing, is finding solution to problems. We have for those parents who have the children in school, encourage them to be in cadet, to be in the police school club, because we help. We bring in different persons. We help with the skills. We help with the discipline. We help with all those things. And of course, if you just want to be an assistant, you want to help the police, then you see something in the station, make recommendations as in the community. Just come in, ask to speak to the division commander, the department head, or somebody, and say, this is something you live here.
Idea.
That is little idea, recommendations,
It could be something that you're already working on, and your idea could help improve.
That is it. And also, whatever we are doing in the community, when we put out the flyer, we advertise it. Just come on board. Be a part of it. Say, officer, I want to be a part of this. I think it's a good idea. I see you guys walking through. Let me walk with you guys. Let me, so that because if the police walks alone and do this alone, you look at enforcement. In fact, we have encouraged the police officers. There are places you might be going. Don't go in uniform.
Yeah.
Take out this uniform. Take out this. Guys are going to have a conversation.
Try to fit in.
Just sit down on the block. Speak to guys, and we can. Everybody can be a part of that. And so. And any way you figure, let me help. Because Grenada is mine, is ours, and I want to make sure if a region can be jealous of us, let me be a person who keeps it that way and work with the police. Listen to me, we might find more people wanting to come here, and we maybe come a little America. More than the US itself.
I don't know. I differ with you with that. I don't want this to become a little
not the present one. I mean, in terms of the growth and economic development.
Okay.
That is
under those circumstances.
Because you see, when your country, and I shared with some folks just recently, I think on Air 2, that what people don't understand, the safer your country is, the more you can attract investors and investment and economic development.
I agree.
Because I've been in the force 37 plus years.
Okay.
And so I've lived through certain disasters and certain issues. And you know what does be the question when you have disaster, some problem in a country? Not if the government is intact, if your security, what is the state of your security? So it means that when a country is safe and secure, tourists want to come, investors want to come, and that's how you make money, and that's how employment grows. That's how, and so that you have people, you talk about, so it's not about the mistake we make. It's saying the government could do everything, or the police could do everything. Listen to me, the greater responsibility lies with the civil public. How we live, how we behave, to tell the rest of the world, here is a gem. You can come, you can bring your foreign exchange, you can set up your business will be safe, nobody will rob it. That's what builds an economy. And so if the public understands being involved is not snitching, but is being involved for the right reason,
yes,
then they will want to do something about it. And then you will team up with the police, and you will team up with other stakeholders and say, you know what, we have to have the best country. We have to have a little Dubai.
A conversation like this is what, does not deter folks from wanting to associate with the police.
That is it.
Because, there's always the issue of confidentiality. If I say that, will Mr. This know that is, well, I've associated with GT, and if you hear that, they have to be coming from GT, and all of these things within the community.
And that's something we've been hard on.
Yeah.
Because we have recognized that in the past. And, people would be people.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. But the good thing is not the majority. Sometimes always a small minority.
Yeah.
But we have been very, very hard on that because it impedes our strategic pillar, which is community building trust. It impedes the whole capacity building and the trust in the public and the partnership. And when that happens, as an officer, should know that you're not helping the country what that you're employed to do.
Yeah.
You are breaking that, and that shouldn't happen.
I agree with you. We do have a caller. We do have a first caller for the morning. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you and to the officer. I can't say that I listened to the whole program, but I was just passing by and I heard the officer speaking about the benefits or the importance of safety. And I won't defer him, but I would also want to add something. Safety is not, let's put it that way, it's not only tourism and foreign investment that benefits from safety. Our local investors, when the society is safe, people spend more money. People can go out more at nights knowing that they are secure. That's why I'm so, concerned about predial larceny. If farmers believe that the crops are going to be safe, they'll produce more. So I would say the dividend of having a safe community is way beyond the attracting of tourists. or the attracting of foreign investors. Fundamentally, it is so necessary for us to be able to be the best that we can be, and we can make the most of the little resources we have. Safety is paramount. Paramount. We cannot elaborate it too much. Okay?
All right.
Thank you so much, and there's no value to that. I mean, it's
a lot. Yeah. We do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. You're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning to your listeners and your viewers, and of course, morning to your esteemed officer.
Thank you, and good morning also.
Yeah, one of the things that always encourages me is when issues like psychosocial aspects or even community development issues are factored into how we live and how we probably even die in this place. So I'm glad that more and more emphasis is being placed, because you see, as somebody who has avenues to international settings, there's a lot of effort to intensify the issue of mental health and well-being within different spheres of society. And while it is catching on, while this is kind of taking a while, I think sometimes we are very slow because we have a sort of, not even, but the thing where we have a prejudice. And I heard the officer has to distinguish between being crazy and so on. We don't need to do that, because all of us have issues with some level of mental, either recovering from trauma that we experienced as children and we still experiencing. So one of the things we need is to be able to be honest, and I call it radical honesty. We are all in pain for one reason or the other, and maybe it's good that the police is coming on board or is taking the lead now in recognizing that trauma and issue of mental and psychological issue is one of the factors that are affecting how we live and die. Finally, I think also the emphasis on citizens' responsibility must take precedence, and we are responsible. A lot of us condone things, we encourage things. We need to discourage that, so that maybe the education system have to encourage people to be responsible citizens by self-management. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
So much,
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution. Anything you want in response to the caller?
No, it's right. It's totally correct. I mean, sometimes it is slow, but of course we are catching on. We realize it, and we doing everything in our part to ensure that it happens.
Okay, we do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. You're live. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Congratulations to the police and the community for reducing crime. And the policies of the police and the implementation of their strategies is very important. What is the base causes of crime? I did a basic search on the internet, and it indicates that it is complex and interrelated, primarily rooted in socio-economic, social, and psychological factors. Key drivers include poverty, income inequality, lack of education and employment opportunities, substance abuse, and unstable family environments. Criminal activity often stems from a combination of these environmental pressures, personal decision making, and opportunity to commit the offenses. So if our police force is going in that direction to have encourage community support, community activities, whether it be athletics, boxing, football, cricket, it would be a very good thing. Our community would be safe for everyone, be they residents or visitors, be they white, black, brown, or blue. Have a blessed day. Continue to do your good work, police.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much for your contribution there. And of course, the caller's contribution certainly made a whole lot of sense.
A lot of sense.
All right. We just have about a minute or two before we wrap for today. Anything you will close it you want to say before we take a wrap for today?
Just to thank the public again for their continued assistance, and should I say growing assistance, and partnership and collaboration, and just think knowing that we all in this together, and that citizen security or taking responsibility for their own security and safety is critical. Of course, we are also as I said before, looking at partner with other companies, even Glen, because as we patrol, we see dark areas where people traverse, where they walk, to assist in putting lightings, and every bit of area we can discover, and whoever is responsible we can hook up with and be partner with to ensure that we reduce the opportunity for criminal activity. We will do that. We'll be doing that. And so those that we have not approached yet, look out, we're coming based on what we see and based on what we gather from our profiling, from our assessment of our vulnerable areas and risk areas, and we'll be tackling you to assist in that regard so that we can have a safer and better Grenada.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Superintendent, of course, Richards, I want to thank you too for coming and share the information this morning. And of course, it's also great the community is better. And to have that, as I keep saying it, that to develop that partnership with the community and the police, it is important. And of course, it has gotten to a stage where we have already seen a reduction in crime, the solving of crime, which means that it's on an upward trend. But it's just that constant development to come out.
And just sustainability to sustain it over the
don't feel because you got through, it's supposed to stop.
That's
and sometimes we tend to go that particular direction. Nothing happening, so
there's a weakness in this country too. We build nice things, we do nice programs, and all of a sudden just fall apart.
The maintenance
we are looking at making sure that whatever we do, it is sustained, and even if the commissioner is not there, I leave. The next person that come on board the platform is so well set that they can run and even develop on that which
that continuous.
That is it.
That is it. Thank you once again, of course, Superintendent Richards. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. Hope to see you back soon again.
Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, folks, that's what we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of course, To the Point. Join me again tomorrow for another edition. That's where we say goodbye.